Welcome back to another installment of r/Maliciouscompliance, where rules are meant to be followed. Before we get started, if you like my videos, please smash that like button and consider subscribing, as this all really helps my channel grow and pushes me to create more videos. Anyways, let's get started with our first story of the day, which was posted by Spiral MX. Science teacher has a swear jar. I took a biology class my sophomore year in high school, and my teacher was pretty cool. She was laid back, funny, and didn't have your typical teacher vibe. She had set up a curse jar in the room, and the funds were used to pay for supplies. 25 cents if you swore, but $1 if you dropped an F-bomb. One day, we were doing some group work in tables. The ones with the Bunsen burner and the sink in the middle. Behind me was a kid that was particularly annoying and pretty talkative. Patrick was probably the type of kid who later went on to cure cancer, or create Minecraft. Smart kid, but he was basically a 17-year-old Martian from The Simpsons. Anywho, we're all trying to do our work and Patrick is getting on my nerves. He keeps making loud, bad jokes and poking his head into our project, telling us what we were doing wrong. I asked him twice to just worry about his own table, but the third time, I lost it. I walked up to the front of the class, pulled out my wallet, grabbed $1 and put it on the teacher's desk, turned around and said quite loudly, "Patrick, shut the F up." I walked back to my table and sat down. The entire class was silent and was staring at me and then the teacher. She looked down at the dollar bill on her desk and started laughing out loud. The rest of the class joined in and Patrick shrunk into his seat. The teacher then said, well, he paid his dollar. And that's the story of how I told a kid to shut the F up in class without getting in trouble. This is what I call a great teacher. Not only does the money in the swear jar go back to helping the students, but it also helps show that actions have consequences. Everybody wins. Except for Patrick, of course. Our next story was posted by Maliciously. Send me all the emails you've sent to our clients over the past 2 years. So I work part-time as a legal counsel in a management consulting company. A colleague of mine screwed up and never responded to an official client inquiry, so the boss is pissed off. He asked me specifically to archive and send him all the emails with legal responses and advice I've sent to our clients over the past 2 years. While I'm not responsible for this mess, I am 99% sure that he asked that of me because I'm the youngest in there. Here's the catch. Almost 95% of my responses go through my project managers. I send the legal response to my project manager and he is responsible to communicate it correctly to the client. So I specifically ask, you want all my emails directly to the client, right? He says yes. So out of 2,719 emails, only 98 were from me directly to our clients. So in the official meeting where we are all present, I hand them over and tell him, good luck getting those emails from the project managers. His face was priceless. For everything else, I guess there's MasterCard or something. OP, I guess you did maliciously comply, but at what cost? You basically shot yourself in the foot and made your boss look like an idiot. I guess it's more of a petty revenge since you're not responsible for this mess and they made you do it anyways because you're the youngest. Our last story was posted by Super Mario 218. You have to call me every time you leave this hallway. Sure thing, boss. My brother shared a story with me the other day and I was laughing so hard that I was crying. I figured I would pass this on to you beautiful people on Reddit. My brother used to work in environmental services in a rather large hospital. For those of you not fluent in corporate BS, that means he was a janitor. His had a lot of cleaning duties and took him all over the hospital each day. However, each person was assigned a hallway that they had to maintain during the shift. My brother did not have an issue with this and did all his work as assigned. At this particular job, he often bumped heads with management. But in fairness, the way he describes it, he was working with a bunch of idiots. I obviously cannot comment on this, but in the time I've known my brother, he has always been an incredibly hard worker and does what he can to provide for his children. So I give him the benefit of the doubt and assume management was just being stupid. On one particular day, the management tried to implement a new rule. All staff members were now supposed to call the boss whenever they left their designated hallway. The boss man, Joe, just wanted a quick notification. I'm sure the reason for this rule made sense at the time, but it's one of those things that is just so stupid that no one ever did. That didn't prevent the boss from trying to enforce the stupid rule though. He harassed everyone, my brother included, all the time about leaving their workspace without notifying him. One day, he was really going after my brother hard until finally my brother had enough. He decided that it was best to follow the rule. The very next day, he began. At the start of his shift, he called his boss. "Hey Joe, I'm going to my hallway now." A few minutes later, my brother realized he didn't have enough supplies on his cart, and the required supplies were in the closet 10 feet outside the area he had been assigned. So he called his boss again. "Hey Joe, I need to leave my hallway. I forgot some supplies." He did so. Then once he got back to his hallway, "Hey Joe, I'm back in my hallway now." An hour goes by and wouldn't you know it, he had to use the bathroom. "Hey Joe, I need to use the bathroom. It's a number 2, in case you were wondering." Then he went to the bathroom. Upon completion of the sub-task, he went back to the hallway and called again. "Hey Joe, I'm back in the hallway. I had a good bowel movement. No trouble to report there. The color and size all seemed healthy." At this point, Joe was getting annoyed, but he couldn't go back on his rule that he had gone through so much trouble to enforce. Meanwhile, my brother's calls and mini reports became increasingly elaborate. He was no longer just calling to say when he left and came back, but to explain why he was leaving, how long he would be gone, where he was going, etc. Joe eventually stopped picking up his phone, so my brother would just keep calling until he answered. My brother said he thinks he must have called his boss over 150 times during his 8-hour shift, each time leaving a very, very detailed report. With each report, his boss just replied something along the lines of, okay, Chad, okay. Clearly, just wanted to get off the phone. The next day, he came back to work and didn't make any calls. And Joe never bothered him or anyone else about calling to check in with him after that. Insert mandatory names are made up statement. This malicious compliance is beautiful. It reminds me of the time that I, along with my coworkers, decided that we should maliciously comply. At my old IT job, we had the option of skipping lunch and continue doing work and getting paid for it because of how busy the queues got. Almost everyone would skip lunch and continue doing work because we would be eating at our desks throughout the day anyways. Well, when new management took over, they told us that we could no longer skip lunch and get paid for it and that we had to take our lunches. Time for some malicious compliance. Everyone began taking their lunches, their full lunch, along with the 2 15-minute breaks that were allotted every day. Within the first 2 days, there was a noticeable backlog of calls, as well as complaints from users and customers about long queue times. When our supervisor was confronted by management to explain what was going on, he simply said, "You told them to take their lunch." Instead of going back on their new rule and letting us skip our lunches and getting paid for it, they decided to hire more people. So in the end, they chose to pay a few new people 40 plus hours a week versus paying a few existing people a couple extra hours a week. Those were some good times. That concludes this episode of r/maliciouscompliance. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe, as this all really helps my channel grow and incentivizes me to create more videos. Also, I'll be posting videos every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, so make sure you turn on notifications so you can be notified for my next video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.